Hi, my name is Lauren, and I run an online shop called Blueberry Creative where I sell my handmade books and stationery. But as you can see from the title, today I will be making something very special. I am binding the guest book for my wedding. I'm using a lot of techniques that are brand new to me for this book, so this is by no means a tutorial, but I thought it would be fun to bring you along on this journey, so let's go. I already have all of my pages folded and pressed here, so I'm just combining 2 pages for each signature. Now here I am just adjusting my paper cutter so that I can cut all of the signatures to size. And this is the part of the video where my new techniques come in. I found an amazing video from Bittermelon Bindery where she created an accordion that you sew onto the spine of the book to give it some extra spacers. So when you add photos to the book, the entire page will be about even all the way across. I will post the link to that video in the description because it is extremely informative and really fun to watch. So here I am just, creasing my page to prepare for the accordion folds. And now I am folding each of those 1/2-inch sections, and between each fold I'm going to place one of my signatures and sew it into those creases. Now I am just using this guide to punch holes into each section of the accordion so that I can sew my signatures into each one. Now here I am using that same hole punch guide to punch holes into each one of my signatures to prepare for sewing. And now I am just measuring out my thread for sewing. For this particular book, I am using 1 book length size times the number of signatures. and I'm just using some plain linen thread for this. Since it's not waxed thread, I have to pull it through this beeswax in order to help prevent tangling and so that the thread won't fray when I pull it through all the holes. Now I'm getting into the sewing stage of creating this book. As you can see, I'm pressing that first signature into the first crease of the accordion and lining up those holes for sewing. I did find that it was a little bit awkward to deal with the accordion at first, but after a few stitches I did get used to it. I am now going to go in with some PVA glue to glue the spine. What you're seeing now is my third layer of glue. So I'm just trying to get some of the pieces where I missed the glue on some of the previous layers, and just using this sponge to press that into the spine and making sure I get into all of those little nooks and crannies where I was sewing. And I'm just wiping out some of the glue from the edge of the spine so that it's easier to take those boards off once everything is dried. And now we have a finished text block. And I didn't show it in the video, but I did trim all of the edges so that they were smooth all the way across. Very beautiful. I am now using these beautiful rose papers for my end papers. So when you open the book, the first page that you'll see is this beautiful rose design. So I'm just trimming these to size to add them onto the ends of the text block. And unfortunately, these papers weren't long enough to create the end pages for my book, so I'm just going to go in with that PVA glue again and glue these two pieces together to make it long enough for the entire book. And unfortunately, these didn't line up exactly where the designs meet, but I still think that it ended up looking really, really nice. I am now going to add those end papers to the end of my text block. I'm going to start off by just getting some of that PVA glue and brushing it onto the edge of my end papers. Now I'm just pressing that onto the edge of the spine side of my text block. And I don't show it, but I will perform the same actions on the other side of the text block so that there's end papers on both sides. Now here I am just trimming off the edge pieces of that end paper so that it aligns exactly with the text block. Now I'm just finishing up the text block here. I'm just putting on a little bit of PVA glue and brushing that along the spine so that I can glue on some wool. This will just add some additional strength to the spine of the book. Here I'm just combing through all of my end bands to choose which color I'm going to add to the end of the spine. I just ended up choosing this simple white colored end band. I thought that it was just really simple and elegant and matched the rose colored end papers really well. And so I just trim off a little bit of that end band and I add some PVA glue to the edge of the spine so that I can attach the end band on there. And these end bands just add a little decorative touch to the top and bottom of the book. Now that I'm completely done with adding those end bands and the text block is finished, I'm moving on to create the cover of my book. So I'm cutting out this book board to the size that I want the covers to be. I want to add a little bit of overhang above and below the pages on both sides, so my book board is a little bit larger than the pages. I'm also cutting out a piece for the spine here. And now I'm taking the PVA glue again and just running that along my spine piece so that I can glue it onto my slice of book cloth there on the cutting mat. And to finish up this spine piece, I am just going to add some glue to the top and bottom of that book cloth, and then I'll fold it over the spine so that there's no board exposed on the top or bottom. And when I'm pressing this down, I'm pulling the edges down towards the board so that they don't stick out on top of the cover pages when I attach them to the end book. This will make a little bit more sense once I glue the whole thing together. Now I am just marking where that spine cloth is going to end up getting glued onto my book boards for the front and back covers. And I'm creating score lines down where I made those markings. I'm not going all the way through the book board. I'm just going to remove a few layers of bookboard along that section to account for the bulkiness from that spine cloth that's going to end up getting glued onto there, so that when the book is totally glued together, it's just one flat line across. There's no bulkiness from that additional book cloth. And now I'm just going in with that PVA glue again, and I'm gonna glue the cover boards to the book cloth. I ended up having to add some extra glue there in that cut shot. So yeah, just press it on, make sure I get all of the corners really well, and now I'm gonna press it onto this section of book cloth. Don't mind my head there. Now I'm just trimming the corners here to prep for my final gluing of the edges. And since we have that area on the bottom where I removed a few layers of bookboard, I have to cut the corners on this side a little bit differently. This is my first time using this technique, but I think that it turned out pretty nice. Here I'm just cutting off the corners and then creating a little tab so that it will fold over the bookboard when I glue it, so none of the bookboard will be exposed once the cover is finished. Now I am ready to assemble the full cover. So as you can see, I'm just brushing on some PVA glue to the front cover of the book so that I can attach that piece of book cloth from the spine. And this is the area where I had removed a few layers of bookboard, so you can see the whole process coming together. Now that the cover is done, I am ready to assemble the book. I'm attaching the text block to the cover here. This is called casing in, and it is one of the most nerve-wracking parts of the bookbinding process for me. I just start with adding a little bit of PVA glue on the spine side of the text block so that I can attach the mole on the side. Now I just go in with that PVA glue. I'm gonna brush a nice layer all over the end papers there. Making sure I get all of the edges and the corners. And now I'm just gonna lift that paper up and align it with the cover. This is my first time casing in a book of this size, and the paper was also really thin, so it shows all of the creases that are caused when I cased it in, but I think that I was able to smooth out most of them, and it ended up looking pretty nice in the end. And I'm just sticking some parchment paper in there so that the glue doesn't seep into the book while it's drying. Now just going in and doing the back cover. I wish I had done the back cover first because I felt like I learned a lot from doing the front. So my back cover actually ended up looking a little bit nicer than the front, but you know, what are you gonna do? You can see I'm panicking a little bit here, but smoothing out all of the wrinkles. And beautiful. Now that my book is completely done, as you can see. I'm just gonna print out some final touches on my Cricut. I absolutely love watching videos of people weeding vinyl. I think it's just so satisfying, so I hope you enjoy these next few clips. I'm now just going to take some transfer tape and transfer the word guests onto the cover of the book. Originally, I wanted to use iron-on vinyl for this process, but the iron-on wasn't sticking well to the material that I have on the cover, so I'm just going to use some permanent vinyl for this. I wanted to add a little personal touch to the first page of the book, so I'm just taking this picture of my ring that I got during our engagement photo shoot, and I'm just going to glue this onto the first page with a photo stick. The one thing that I would change if I could, I would have made the date a little bit smaller. I think that it would have looked a little bit more elegant on the page, but I'm still really happy with how it turned out. Now my book is nearly complete. Beautiful end pages. And as you can see, I'm leaving most pages blank so that our guests can sign their names along with a little message. And there along the spine, so every fourth page has that spacer where I created the accordion at the beginning of the video. And in each one of these sections, I am going to be adding some pictures just to, switch up the book a little bit because there's going to be way more pages than there are signatures. So I'm just adding some of these adhesive corners onto the corners of my photos so that I can press them into the book. I'm just adding one photo per page where I'm using these photo sections. And that picture is my favorite one that we got during our engagement shoot. I think it really encapsulates a relationship. It's my favorite. And I am going back and forth between color photos and black and white just to switch it up a little bit. Now for the final book reveal. I am so happy with the way it turned out. I think it looks beautiful. I can't wait to have my guests sign all of their names in it and to keep these memories forever.